Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Well, hello there. Unbelievable, huh? Don't get me started. I don't even want to. So, the latest is apparently Mitch McConnell was seen arriving at the Capitol moments ago looking upbeat. Well, screw him! I just want to screw them all. God almighty. This house, well, never mind. Don't even start. Cullen, just shut up. Just shut up. I came across a quote that I thought maybe tells us, even though it seems that this is above and beyond what we've been going through, tells us that things have always been thus. This is a quote from someone who used to work in Washington, and in fact, somebody who was the President of the United States, and in fact was a founding father, John Adams. And he said this toward the end of his days, with all the wisdom that his experience and education had given him. In my many years, I have come to a conclusion that one useless man is a shame. Two is a law firm. And three or more is a Congress. John Adams, spoken in the early years of the 19th century. So maybe it was ever thus. And then, obviously, something else that has generally held true. I don't know if you were one of those people like me, and I should know about waiting till the last minute to finally get something done. You know, when you're in school, there are two kinds of students. There are students who do things in a timely fashion, and if they have a paper due in a month, they're done, like in 2 weeks. I could never even relate to that. I was always doing things at the last minute. I work best when there's pressure on me. I work best when there is a deadline and a clock ticking, and we're almost out of time. Now, in that regard, that occurred to me, and I thought, well, in that regard, the Congress is like you. But getting a paper in some psychology class is a little less freighted with all kinds of possible consequence if you don't get in on time than is what is occurring in Washington, D.C. But it is true that once the clock is ticking, once that pressure is on, generally then something gets done. It is no responsible way to run a country, of course. But here's another quote, Leonard Bernstein. And we'll remove the adjective. He says to achieve great things. Let's just say to achieve things, two things are needed: a plan and not quite enough time. So Bernstein recognized that for many people that there's not enough time is exactly what is required to get somebody over the finish line. This is no way to run a government. I was reading some of what the rest of the world is saying about us. And besides the ridicule, the disbelief, there's a great deal of anger. Can you imagine if you're in any other nation and you look at what's going on with the American government and you say, and these are the people who are always lecturing the rest of us about democracy? They are the ones who are supposed to be the shining city on the hill. These are the people who pretend that they are exceptional. I saw one Greek woman quoted as saying, they're no different than us. The only difference is, and here's what they're pointing out, any other country that came to this point would have seen their credit rating plummet by now. It is just by virtue of being the United States. With our currency, the dollar as the big daddy of world currencies, that we haven't had the consequence that any other nation would have had. Can you imagine after this clown college that we would pretend to stand as an example to the world? Unbelievable. So, hey, I came upon a quote, and I don't understand it. And I know since you guys are so smart, you do understand it, probably. And this is a quote from Michelle Bachmann. I mean, I know I'm on a different planet than she, but I didn't know I spoke another language. And I suspect that this word I do not comprehend has something to do with her Christianity. I don't know. Just let me read you this quote. I'm full of quotes today. Let me read you this quote. And somebody, either through email, lynn@pghcitypaper.com, or with a phone call, 316-3381, let me know what the hell she's talking about. She is quoted as telling a radio talk show host that President Obama proved that he was on Al-Qaeda's side when he sent arms to some of the Syrian rebels. Okay. And then she said that because the president was on Al-Qaeda's side, I'm paraphrasing now. Now I'm not. Sign. Quote, Michelle, "We are in God's end times." And then she added this, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Maranatha. It's like a word. Come, Lord Jesus, his day is at hand. Just doesn't know. Obviously, it's the but unless this is the typo of all typos.
How do you spell it?
Maranatha. I never saw that word in my life. And it's almost as if she's invoking somebody.
It's in the...
What is it? Jess is going to tell me.
A two-word Aramaic formula occurring once in the New Testament.
Okay, so it's an Aramaic word Occurs once in the New Testament, and what the hell does it mean?
Also in the didact.
I don't know. What does it mean? What it mean? Maybe really?
Wait, our Lord cometh.
Oh, it means our Lord cometh.
Yes.
Good God! Good God! And these people are the people that are running this country into the ground. They think President Obama has brought the end times. They don't understand that they are the very thing that they fear the most. What is it? Is it that great Pogo line from the old comic strip Pogo, right? And I'm gonna butcher it because I don't think it was in proper English. It's something we have met the enemy and he is us. Is that from Pogo? I don't know, but my God. We are in God's end times. Maranatha, come Lord Jesus, his day is at hand. Ah! Oh, dear God. Okay. We got a call. All right. Hello.
Morning.
Morning.
Hey, even Ann Coulter, she thinks these people are not. Now she's talking about them. Said, they're running these primaries against good Republicans, and only to stroke their ego, like Lynn Cheney.
Yeah. Well, when Ann Coulter starts saying things like that, you know it is the end times.
Yes.
They are upon us. So,
another thing I wanted to say is haste makes waste, and then you got to decide whether you want quality or quantity, and that's what these businesses nowadays are doing. They are deciding they want quantity, so they'll hire any dipshit to do the job paying minimum wage, and you don't get a good service or a good product. That's the problem with the companies that are losing so much money. They gave up the quality product or quality service, which this country always had, but they don't care about that anymore. It's just saving money.
All right.
Have a good day.
Yeah, you too. You too. Ann Coulter. Nah, she's part of this whole thing. She is. These irresponsible verbal bomb-throwing folk who just saw it all as a big lark and a way to have power and be rich and celebrity and all that. And maybe she's thinking that if these bozos bring down her side of the aisle, that she won't have a platform with which to make all the money she makes going around throwing bombs. So, apparently, apparently there's going to be some deal struck before midnight. Remember when they were saying that on Friday that it would happen over the week? I remember thinking, I don't think so, because I kept thinking of the House people. If they find anything that can pass the House, if they come up with anything that can pass the House, it would seem it would be unacceptable. And what about that profile in Courage, the Orange Man, the weeping orange man, John Boehner, who will clearly go down in history as one of the, if not the, worst Speaker of the House in American history. And it's because in these end times, there is this group that simply refuses to allow anything to move. They are total obstructionists. I heard one of them, he's from Florida and his name is Yo-Yo or something. I think, you come across a guy like that, is it Yoho? I think it's Yoho. Congressman Yoho from Florida. And Congressman Yoho is one of these lunatics who says, and I believe him, that he's hearing from his constituents during this period of indecision and brinksmanship, and they are urging him on to keep doing exactly what he's doing. And he said, they sent me here. I ran against Obamacare. And they sent me here, my constituents sent me here to stop it. And to get a handle on all the money. And that's what I'm doing. He said, how could I run on a platform and then when I get in, turn my back on the people who clearly sent me there to do it? So here's the problem with these districts that are so politically cohesive, in which yo-yos like Yoho are elected by large majorities and in doing what they are supposed to do, which is be a representative of their district, are doing exactly what the people who voted for them want them to do. That's true. So ultimately, this does come back to us. Now, I never voted for one of these bozos. But we hear about the sort of self-segregation that Americans have done, which is we live with like-minded Americans. And so you have folks like me in urban areas, and you have folks like yo-yo voters living in, I don't know, some godforsaken part of Florida. And it was pointed out to him that in Florida there are an awful lot of retirees, and that if we allow this, the fixed incomes, the 401ks that these old people are living on are going to take an extraordinary hit, in all likelihood, as are the retirement funds of older but not retired Americans like me. We don't have time for our 401ks to recover from a total drop caused by this total irresponsibility. So I subscribe to this magazine called The Week. And I often think, as a matter of fact, I think I just let my subscription lapse because I devour so much news throughout the week that I don't need a magazine that sort of compiles it all. It's a great magazine for people who pay no attention and just sort of want to catch up. And if you were to read it on a weekly basis, you would be sort of up to speed on much of what is going on in the world. Not in any depth, but you would. But I happened to get one yesterday, and I was looking through it, and I kept finding things that I hadn't seen before or heard, including those quotes I just gave you. And for those of you who might read The Week, I want to apologize because much of then what I have said thus far, it seems to be something you've heard before because you read The Week as I read The Week. That's where I got the Michelle Bachmann quote. Woo-wee! And where I got all those other quotes. And now our religion scholar, Ray, is telling me something about Maranatha. Maranatha. I don't know how it would be pronounced. He says it's one of those untranslated words from the New Testament that means kind of come, Lord. When it doesn't get a translation, these nuts think it's a magic word. Yeah. Right. I actually thought maybe that she's one of these people who speaks in tongues, that that's one of her things, and that she had just had a little, speaking in tongues moment there. But that is sort of what Ray is suggesting. It's some kind of so it's untranslatable thus. It is magic. Ray says, I have said before that this is all a result of, of pathological eschatology. And then he translates for us. That is an insane obsession with the end of the world. It's been around forever. It is a primal fear of death. And it ends up in denial and wizardry. Yeah, here you go. But you see, this is what I was saying. These people who are so scared of the end times and their obsession and their crazy thinking and their magical thinking, they are going to be the people who become the self-fulfilling prophecy. If our world, this country we know, is going to end, it will end as a result of people like this who think they're protecting it. You really do feel. I feel like I'm back in that hotel where I felt in the Twilight Zone. You do feel like you're living in some kind of upside down place. Which brings me to another quote. God, the quotes are so good. Here's another quote. It brings me exactly to that. Tom Clancy, the late. Not a big fan of his stuff, but it made for good movies, I guess, if you like your heart beating strong. The difference between fiction and reality, Clancy said, fiction has to make sense. There you go. There you go. Because you realize that we've been saying you can't make this up. Well, that is a when you find yourself saying that kind of thing a lot, or I felt like I fell down a rabbit hole, or what universe are we living in, and blah, 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 blah. Then we are actually talking about reality, because reality is insane. If you were to write this and have it be fiction, somebody would say, oh, I'm sorry. This is just silly. This is unbelievable. Clancy hit that one right on the head. The difference between fiction and reality is fiction has to make sense. No one ever said reality had to, and God knows we are witnessing that it doesn't make sense. As I said yesterday, if I see any pictures tonight on the news after some deal has been struck of anybody in the U.S. Congress smiling, I personally would like to stick my knobby arthritic fist right through their face. I mean it. They should not for 1 minute feel any satisfaction, any sense of victory, any sense of a job well done. Deplorable. There's a word I haven't trotted out. Deplorable. Don't go to break? Okay, how you knew I was just going to?
Yeah, because the computer froze.
The computer froze. Oh, yeah. Okay, so excuse us. We have a little technical difficulty. Oh, speaking of technical difficulties, let me tell you, this will be a little respite. Let me tell you about what happened to me prior to the show. So I have an appointment after, and I usually take the bus, but I drove down. And I didn't find a parking place where I usually do, which is pretty much right out here on Smithfield, right in front of the building. There's always a place for me somehow. And it wasn't there. I thought, uh-oh. And I was cutting it close, as I told you earlier. I always do. I work better with the clock ticking. And so I went beyond where I usually go, and I found a place on Liberty and Smithfield-ish area. I jump out of my vehicle. I run to the nearest parking meter thingamajiggy-jig, and it says, I am not working. I am not working. I don't know. It said something like, out of order. Out of order, please find the next one. So there weren't any others within eyesight, so I went back to where I knew the next one was, which is about a block away, in front of our building. And there was a line in front of it. There were two absolutely flummoxed people. And you often see flummoxed people standing in front of these things, right? And they're, what? I can't. And then there was a woman standing behind them with her umbrella up, looking like she was going to kill them. And then there was a guy standing behind her. And I thought, oh my God, don't have time for this. So I blew past them and walked another pretty long block till I hit the next one. I'm now 2.5 blocks away from where I parked my car, but I think this is still okay. So I entered my license plate number. And then it said, checking for license plate, which it never used to say. What's that about? Then it said, we are offline or something. I am offline. I cannot process. I am screwed up. I am a robot. I took someone's job, but I can't send the repairman. So that one wasn't working. Eventually, it did get through to me that I should pay anyway. That it was clear about. Go right ahead and give me some money. This will not be recorded in the system exactly, I guess, is what they were sort of saying. But you print out a receipt and take your receipt back to your car and stick it on the windshield like, remember, we used to do there for a while? And then you maybe won't get ticketed and towed. So I gave him my money. I got a receipt. By this time, it's about 5 to 10. I raced with all my baggage and holding an umbrella and holding my receipt. I raced back up Smithfield, passing my building. I had passed my building already 3 times. Where I would normally have walked in. I went by this way, then I went by that way, then I came back this way, and then I had to... It is ridiculous. I got here with about a minute and a half before this show. Oh, God. Oh, Marantha. I guess that's what I'm saying when I say, oh, God. That's what it is. God, come. Marantha, save us from ourselves. And from Michelle Bachmann and her ilk. I have been told that I can now go to a break.
Yes, we are good to go.
Be still, my heart. Here's a break.
Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com or call Lynn at 412-316-3333. 866-333-3381. Lynn Cullen Live will return in a moment.
This week's Pittsburgh City Paper Best of Pittsburgh 2013 is available now. Pick up one today for the results of our annual readers poll. Plus, Bare Naked Ladies, Dylan Moran, and the Pittsburgh Opera's Aida, and News of the Weird. Pittsburgh City Paper's Best of Pittsburgh 2013. Available at over 1,700 locations throughout Western Pennsylvania. And on the web at pghcitypaper.com. And on your smartphone with GPS-enabled music, event, and restaurant, and Best of Pittsburgh listings at citypapermobile.com.
Okay, so we are in the midst now of Real Q, which is, of course, the former gay-lesbian film festival. And still a ton of great movies to be shown. I hope you're taking advantage of this. We are so lucky to live in a city that has these great film festivals. The Israeli Jewish Film Festival that's, I think, starting up soon, too, just brings in such amazing movies that you wouldn't see otherwise. And then sometimes you do see them again because they end up winning Academy Awards for Best Foreign Film or for this or that or some little independent. Real Q, the festival at the Harris Theater through this weekend, has just fantastic movies. And the cool thing, the thing I keep telling you is, rather than feel like you're buying a pig in a poke because, you don't see a lot of reviews of some of these independent movies, so you don't know, would I like this, would I not? Check out the trailers on your on-demand if you have Comcast, if you have Comcast Xfinity. If you're a Fios customer, I'm sorry, you're screwed. Or satellite. Comcast Xfinity subscribers can preview nearly all of the feature films that are showing at the festival. So you can also, to get more information, log on to Real Q's website, which is, not surprisingly, www.realq, like in a film reel, realq.org.
Come to Little's for all of your back-to-school needs. Little's has everything for all ages to stay in style for this upcoming school season. Check out the large selection from Doc Marten, Steve Madden, UGG, Clark's, Lely Kelly, New Balance, and much, much more. Don't forget to come visit this season's colorful handbag selection as well. Little Shoes, Pittsburgh's largest family shoe store, 5850 Forbes Avenue in Squirrel Hill.
Have a question or an opinion? Call Lynn Cullen at 412-316-3381 or email lynn at pghcitypaper.com. Now, more with Lynn Cullen Live.
Okay, just... oh, dear Lord. Just one more thing having to do with lunatics of the Bachmann ilk. Here's another little piece I got from the week, this issue. 82% of white evangelical Protestants believed that Israel was given to the Jewish people by God. Okay, now that's all right. I mean, they believe their Bible, and in fact, yes, I've read enough of it to know, and I'm a Jew. So, hey, if somebody gives me something like a bunch of real estate, I pay attention. And yes, I believe God did do that. This is what's funny about it. If you ask American Jews if God gave Israel to us, just 40%. And now there's a lot of reasons why that would be the case. Because American Jews tend to be liberal. They tend to be relatively rational. They tend to be highly educated. They tend to, not believe in a lot of magical stuff. And so, a lot of American Jews, frankly, are agnostics. So that's why they wouldn't believe that God gave us Israel. We obviously have a strong historical claim. Israel is our native land. It's where we came from. But it's so funny that more than twice as many, of these white evangelical Christians believe God gave me and mine, Israel, and me and mine, not even half of us think it. But that also shows, again, how strongly the Bachmanns of this world believe. And you can't budge them. They believe. Can't argue with them. Jeez. So why don't we, stop wasting our breath, I guess. The only thing that I'm unhappy about, well, that's not true. One of the things I'm unhappy about with this, I sure wish there were an election right around the corner that would take some of these bozos out. Now, there is some. No, there's really not much of anything going on. I wish it was a major election coming up. And this would be so fresh in so many voters' minds that they would do what they've always said they wanted to do, which is throw their own representative out the door. But I don't know. Maybe it's getting through to people, I hope, that when you elect certain people, you get certain results, and that your vote does have consequences. I hope it's getting through to people that the Republican Party, as currently constituted, is made up of a lot of crazy people. They may appear to be normal. They may even, some of them seem reasonable, but a ridiculously high percentage of them are not. They're nuts. Hello, caller.
Hey, morning, Lynn. George from Moon.
Hi, George.
How you doing?
I'm okay.
Good. There's a special election in New Jersey today for the Senate.
Yes, but I know.
Cory Booker
will win, yes.
Right.
Yes.
Well, they're saying, I was watching the Fix Network last night, and they were really parading the right-wing candidate, Nutcase, and pushing him like big time and trying to hype his poll numbers and everything like that. But there might be some effect right there. I don't know.
The other effect apparently is going to be in Virginia, where that lunatic Cuccinelli.
Governor's race.
Yep, in the governor's race.
Right.
Where he, who had looked like, he was potentially going to win that, because Terry McAuliffe is not exactly somebody who, makes my heart beat faster.
Right.
He seems
more
like
of a conservative Democrat. I would say,
he seems like
but
a
skilled
slime
guy,
ball.
skilled,
Very skilled.
guy.
Yeah, right. Exactly. He just looks like he seems to be like on methamphetamines all the time. He just seems to be somebody.
I think you have to be in that business.
Maybe he's just bouncing off the walls. But anyway, so yeah, those are two Republican candidates that probably will go down. Yes. But there, those, I'm thinking House. We need, the turnover needs to be in the House. And
Absolutely.
Democrats also do need to strengthen their numbers in the Senate. And any thoughts, I think, that the Republicans had that they were going to take back the Senate. Can you imagine that? Because, the Senate is just a sliver Democratic majority now. And a lot of good Democrats have said, I've had it, and they're gone. And there is some jeopardy of Republicans conceivably taking this. Can you imagine if they had both houses?
Yes, it's still a possibility.
Yes, it is.
Say
it is.
It's a year off.
I agree.
And remember, there's a lot of Republicans vacating the Congress, too.
Not enough.
Yeah. Well, and I want a couple things. In relation to this, they're always talking about these, that minority of Republican, what I call ultra conservatives.
Right.
They've always been around. I mean, I always hear the numbers. Oh, there's 30, 40, 50, 80 of them.
Yeah, right.
And they have always been that the crazy majority minority, and the Republican Party has always been there.
Mm-hmm.
And they fluctuate
Right.
between like 20, 25% to 30, 35%. And that's pretty much what they are right now, even though they've grown in numbers. But the thing is, remember, the House Republican majority is 228. So even 80 guys, or 80 positions, is only 1/3. So I think it's not just about those
Them,
crazy
right.
80,
Yes.
60, 80, whatever.
Right, I agree.
It's about the leadership.
I agree.
It's about Boehner
Yeah,
and his grasping to hang on
that's right.
in the midst of it's not a food fight, it's a shit fight between the Republicans.
Well,
and he is, if he doesn't have a heart attack, a coronary stroke out of this, I will give him that he's got good genes to make it through this.
yeah.
Because he's the critical guy. He's the person
He lacks
that is orchestrating and allowing all this to happen.
he lacks any courage.
There's no leadership.
No
here.
leadership
I'm
at
not
all.
crazy about our Senate Majority Leader either, but he's not as bad as John Boehner.
No.
Boehner is like out of his element and way beyond serious leadership. And I think eventually he's going to be taken down anyway. It's just exactly what happened to Newt Gingrich.
Right.
That they will topple him after this is all over.
Well, except the only thing is there's nobody who wants his job. I mean, and they even those crazy Republicans won't elect as their speaker one of these total loons.
Well,
they're
remember
not
what they did last time when Gingrich went out. They chose an old high school coach teacher.
Hastert.
Yes,
Well,
Hastert.
they
a
first
neutral guy, and then they took a hothead.
You forget who they first chose. Yeah, but wait, you forget who they first chose. Remember a guy named Livingston?
Oh yeah, but they got caught up in a scandal about his personal life.
They picked
That's what
Livingston, and it turns out he was screwing everything that walked too.
Right,
and this was right after they tried to impeach Clinton. I mean, these people are just—they're ridiculous.
Right.
They're
but
ridiculous.
I think that's probably what's going to happen. They're going to topple Boehner eventually, and they're going to choose a sort of a neutral guy who takes orders from the whip, and the whip will be the guy, just like Tom DeLay was the whip to get things done, and that will be a Tea Party person, and actually he's already there. Why am I slipping?
Ryan, you're thinking of Ryan.
No.
Oh, Cantor.
Yeah, Cantor.
Yeah.
Cantor.
Well,
I don't know
wait.
if he'll stay in that position.
Well, we'll
Probably
see.
somebody even more radical than him.
We'll see. I mean, this is we're in, as Cynthia Tucker, I quoted her yesterday, said, we're in for a wild ride. This is not over. This is just the beginning of this.
Oh, one little
horrible...
comment about your news stuff, news source and everything.
Yeah.
I think we're kind of saddled. You and I are the similar generation, are saddled with this. We were raised in a time where you were to be terribly informed and up to date on current events, history, politics, the world scene, and you were driven to be up on that. And I don't think that's happening today. Today's generation is staying away from it because they're so sick of it and can't handle
they're
it.
disgusted by it, right.
Yeah, but we were driven by it.
Yeah.
They were still driven by it.
Right. But I think that's part of the Republican plan, to disgust everybody so much they go away and don't pay
it's
attention.
working with the current generation.
Yeah, it is.
I'm sure you get it from your son.
Yes, I do. So thank you. Don't
Okay,
remind
good
me.
talking to you.
Thank you. Bye. But, somebody else sent me something that I can't add. So I guess Jimmy Kimmel did something, some shtick, which showed that Americans don't know anything about Columbus or something. Americans don't know anything. And he said, and Ed said, you see that cutting spending on education and trying to gut public education, which is what the Republicans have been up to for the last few decades now. And I voiced this opinion many times, long ago, that it would work to the Republicans' advantage to have a clueless electorate. The stupider, the more leadable, the more sheep-like you could get them. They would swallow anything, and they wouldn't be in a position to argue with you. I really think the Republicans, if you look in many ways, their effort to, first of all, suppress votes. They don't want people voting, and if people do vote, they want them to be idiots because idiots support them. And so you screw up education. People don't know anything. Then you make a laughing stock of the Congress of the United States, which really makes me sick. And even those like my son, who was mentioned, who do pay some attention, are so disgusted by what they see. And unless, that they tune out. So you have apathetic, apolitical, and ignorant Americans. And you end up getting a representative body. So you look at the clowns in Congress, the know-nothings and the do-nothings, and strangely, it does look a bit, does it not, like America. So I'm just looking at my tweets to see if we've got they're saying now there's some deals in the works, blah, 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 blah. Everybody's pretty relaxed. But any deal that's in the works, will only, and here Lynn Winstead said something, if she hears kick the can one more time, she's going to scream. But it's only going to kick the can down the road. So guess what? We get to go all through this nonsense again in just a few months. It's not a job well done. That's not a decision. That's nothing. And Winstead also said, maybe topping off right now, especially right now at the end game stage, kick the can down the road is the most annoying cliche. We now have adults in the room. Oh, dear God. Okay. How about we take a second break and we'll be right back.
Stick around for more with Lynn Cullen live after this.
Go to the all-new BergBargains.com for the best deals on gift cards from your favorite local restaurants, bars, museums, attractions, and shows. Log on for great deals from Best of Pittsburgh 2013 winners. Sign up for the weekly email for your chance to win $100 in services from the Swickley Spa. The all-new BergBargains.com, Pittsburgh's best bargains, BergBargains.com.
Hi, Lynn. Les Ludwig, your scandal-free independent candidate for mayor of Pittsburgh, the founder of a program that produces revenue opportunities for government, the best long-term news in town. No longer the usual wait for taxes to go up at budget time. Pittsburgh's home, and I've brought a new way to finance government to city council. That thinking is spreading like fire, with 7 cities from Philly to L.A. building finance programs based on it. An example, one community in California has signed a long-term $600,000 per year contract with a soft drink company. Right now, we have over $1 million that may be used to reduce taxes right here in Pittsburgh. Stay tuned as I work as your mayor, building new thinking for a better future. Vote Ludwig, the only scandal-free independent candidate.
Paid for by Les Ludwig for mayor of Pittsburgh. You're listening to Lynn Cullen live at pghcitypaper.com. Once again, here's Lynn Cullen.
All righty. Yeah, so all the news sources are reporting that, yes, there's some deal. Yeah, but yeah. Which, as I said, doesn't mean... So we do this again, maybe, I don't know, January, February, whatever. Sick of it. Sick. There are consequences. There's a consequence when you elect Tom Corbett governor. We've seen some of them, yes. Another crossed my purview today. Pennsylvania has the unfortunate. What's the word? Unfortunate. Okay, let's erase. We'll just delete. We're deleting that entire sentence, and I will start over and hope that whatever it is I'm trying to say heads down a better path where I don't bump into this word I can't think of. Pennsylvania has an all-time record high percentage of working age, that's adults, who have no health insurance. Never before in the Commonwealth's history have so many Pennsylvanians had little access to health care because they can't afford it and because, well, whatever, and there is no system in place that will help them. Apparently, it's about 1.3 million adults, working age. We're not talking retirees, and we're not talking children. If you want to add those kids in who are uninsured, we got a lot bigger number. This is just adults, working age adults, 1.3 mil, which is 16% of Pennsylvania's workforce has no health insurance. And that number has grown by 11% in just 1 year of Tom Corbett's administration. If you recall, he came in, he got his guys, they threw a bunch of people off, all kinds of programs that were helping them. So the number of uninsured Pennsylvanians increased by 11% from in the first year of Corbett's reign. In that same year, nationally, there was actually a decrease in uninsured Americans. So while the nation saw a decrease, we saw an 11% increase in something you don't want to see an increase in. And now, of course, Pennsylvania is one of those states that refuse to expand Medicaid under the Affordable Care Act. And instead he's floating some cockamamie scheme that would use federal funds to restructure a program that it's under review by the feds. No. This, fine. Thank you very much, all you who voted for Republicans. And unfortunately, most of you, if any, are not listening to me, right? And that's another thing about how we don't listen. We're also solidified in our own thinking. And I don't see it anywhere, but I read that Antonin Scalia, he did a interview with, who? Esquire, GQ, well, I don't know who he did an interview with. And he said a lot of things that got a lot of attention because he's, a gregarious kind of garrulous guy. I can never remember what each of those mean, so I say them both together. And he said that he doesn't want to be annoyed in the mornings, so he never reads the Washington Post because every once in a while it says something that upsets him. He will only read, he says, the Wall Street Journal and the Washington Times. And one would assume he watches Fox News. And he also says in the car he listens to talk radio. And he listens to conservative talk radio. And he specifically said he listens to one show because they don't let the idiots through, the callers. And I would imagine by idiots he means people who would challenge a point of view that he holds dear. But the fact that a Supreme Court justice is holding himself up in his own little cocoon, like so many of us do, is troubling. Because you wonder sometimes when you listen to things he does say, what world are you living in, buddy? He does not live in the real world. His pals, his friends, are not indicative of average Americans. He doesn't know nothing. And my guess is he likes it that way. He doesn't want to be bothered with unpleasant people who are suggesting that there might be something other than the way he thinks. It's too bad. And it's not helpful to us. And for someone in his position, it's particularly unhelpful. Eunice in Atlanta writes, could the Republicans have an even broader agenda? I was watching MSNBC last night, and they focused on a different angle to this madness. The Republicans want to force Obama to use the constitutional amendment to bypass them and raise the debt limit all by himself, and then there will be an immediate push for impeachment. Probably. I mean, I can see where some of them would think that that's a great idea. That would finish them off. You know, she wants to know my thoughts on it. My thoughts are, if every time a Democrat is elected president of the United States, which, by the way, is going to happen more and more and more because it's a national election, and when Americans vote, they don't vote for these lunatics. They vote for a Democrat. If every time a Democrat gets elected, the Republicans will spend all of their energy and all of their time trying to delegitimize and or block any activity from the executive, eventually the American people are going to say, that's it. I mean, you'll recall that when they did that to Clinton, he got reelected. During the course of all of this craziness, he got reelected. Americans are disgusted by the Republicans. Whatever end game they might have, whatever dreams they may have, ultimately what they are left with is the reality that they are soon to be an extremely minority party that itself is fracturing under the pressure of not knowing how to respond to the reality of what is the United States of America now. They're living in the 19 or the 18 or the 17 or the 1650s. I don't know where the hell they want to be. Hello.
Hi, Lynn. It's PJ from Greensburg.
Hi, PJ.
I have one for the shit in one hand and wish in the other category, and see which rolls up first. But I would say that, instead of people calling their elected and writing their elected official, which is the normal suggested route that we take in doing these things, trying to make changes, I would say we need to put more effort and focus our attention on contacting media, whether it's local or national, and saying, stop this false equality that you guys, how often do you hear them talk about these issues? And they make it sound like the Republicans are completely rational in putting forth their own ideas, and that they just want their own ideas to be considered.
Yep. Well, you know what? That again is the result of a long game plan that the Republicans have had in place now for ever since I can remember, which is to delegitimize the media.
The mainstream media.
Yeah, but that's their word, right? And now we all say it.
So, as they so much like to say.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, they've created the narrative.
That's
They're
right.
living in their narrative.
That's right. And so mainstream media, so nervous about in any way appearing to be liberal, or they did this like, oh, this side, that side, and created this false equivalence that you're talking about. And that, too, is a profile in absolute cowardice on the part.
And
that's
I
also
think it is absolutely. And I think they are, we could write and talk to our officials until we're blue in the face. The fact is that it's the elections that put them in office, and that's when it really matters.
That's right.
But getting to the public, the uneducated, the uninformed, the public that are just living their lives and too busy to get the correct information.
Right.
I mean, we need to hammer the media. The media needs to be held to account, and they need to be just hammered on and let know that, their products, the products they advertise will not be bought, they will not be supported. I think that's the route that this needs to go. So.
All right. Well.
Okay.
It wouldn't wait.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, PJ. Yeah, speaking of MSNBC, they trotted out yesterday a poll, an interesting poll that they did in conjunction with Esquire magazine, which they say shows that America really is not this red-blue state, that it really is this country. It's really mostly purple. That neither political party really has a handle on where most Americans now are. And they come up with different groups. And my sense is that what they found is probably pretty correct. And so there's Chuck Todd, who's their statistician-y guy, and he's going nuts talking about how, look, I mean, the vast majority of Americans really are here in the middle. And they don't like the shenanigans over there, and they don't like the shenanigans over here, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm thinking, wait, Chuck, you are part of an organization that writes you paychecks that in fact exists to create this false impression that Americans are either way over there or way over here. Because media, cable news, MSNBC developed its whole mission as a result of Fox, right? So, because they felt, okay, you got Fox over here, somebody needs to balance that. So you know that, liberals will watch MSNBC, conservatives will watch Fox, and now there he is telling us that, in fact, that's not helpful because it is not indicative of. But cable television has tried to make us feel that we're so divided and has, as a result, elevated the lunatics because that's who gets. I'll never forget. I just have to tell you a real quick story. I'm sorry. This is 1,000,000 years ago. I got a call from CNN. Some producer, I can't even remember what the show was because the show doesn't exist anymore. And she had gotten my name as somebody who was a liberal talk show type. And would I appear and on the show? And they were going to be talking. It was abortion was the general topic, and I can't remember exactly what was going on at the time. And she said, we need someone on your side. And I said, yeah, but you didn't ask me what my side was. I said, when it comes to abortion, I said, I have I think a somewhat nuanced view. And I said, probably like most Americans. I remember I could hear this silence on the other end. And she said, well, what do you, and we went back and forth a little bit. And then she rescinded the invitation. She didn't want me. So, they do not present. This is what a voice like mine believe it or not, I know some people think I'm not moderate, and I don't know that. I think basically I sort of am, leaning a little left. But a voice like mine, forget it. You either had to be a flamethrower from there or a flamethrower from there. That ends up distorting everybody's perspective. Everybody's. Oh, media, yeah, PJ. Media has a lot to do with the pretty pass we find ourselves in. Anyway, gone over time, and I got to go see if my car's been ticketed and towed anyway. Sokolowski tomorrow will be joining us, and you guys have a great day. By the way, the Cardinals are one game away from taking it all, which only makes our Buccos look more amazing. Absolutely. I'm so proud of them. Okay. See ya.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.